Morning, folks. Come on in. Just kind of getting the lay of the land here. There it is. Trying to catch a few ticks short. I've caught a couple already up here. We pushed the ledge at the high a couple of times. Obviously, people are trying to fade before the number, and people are running those people over. It's kind of fun to watch, actually. And I've been just catching the stops run at the very top a couple of times. It probably could pop a little higher, though, if we get a little momentum. We have time before the number. The number isn't due for another 15 minutes. So anyway, see what it looks like up here structurally. Yeah, they could pop this ledge. Markets had a bid under it most of the night. So anyway, come on in. This is an open session. We're going to watch the CPI numbers come out at the bottom of the hour, and we're going to scalp the reaction and just kind of playing fading the ledge up here beforehand because it's gotten sold nicely a couple of times. And there's some absorption going on. So I've got two orders I'm trying to fill up here just for fun. See if we get a fill. I will cancel those as we get closer to the actual numbers coming out, though. That's kind of a pre-numbers play that I'm doing. I see we have some guests here. Welcome. Come on in. If you have questions, put them in the text chat, please. I will endeavor to answer them. This session is a public session, TRG members and guests open to everybody, and we're going to see if we can scalp the reaction to the CPI numbers that are coming out at the bottom of the hour. 5:30 my time. I'm on the west coast of the U.S. in Washington State, and that's the story. So anyway. I'll talk a little bit more about the tactics that I like to use on these types of trades when we get closer to the bottom of the hour and people that are coming are here. This is one of those sessions when I do these news sessions, people come in like right before the announcement. So anything that I say too much before that, they tend to miss. We got a little bit of a bid up here. Let's see if we can maybe catch a fill. Probably not, but we might get that one filled. I'm going to push this one up just a little farther. Come on in, everybody. It's almost CPI time. 12 more minutes. These are always fun to warm up on, these economic number releases, particularly when the tape is as skittish as it's been in such a well-defined range. And again, I will explain that in a little more detail in just a few minutes. I open the session up early, but people will drift in for the next few minutes. So when we get to about 7 minutes out, I'll do a brief introduction. Yeah, we could get a nothing burger here. There's been a bid under the market all morning, Amy. I've been trading for about the last 2 hours. And it's interesting because this is typical before we get a number that they'll try to push it to an extreme. But I wouldn't be, first of all, again, I'll do this all in the introduction stuff, but ES is close to 4,500 again, and I'd be stunned if we didn't try to test it. There's a bunch of artifacts up there. If you look at the TPO view, 4-week high on the overnight and on a previous last week. So I'd say the odds are really good we're going to get up there at some point soon. Maybe not today, but anyway, that's interesting. And, look, right now that's 15 points away in ES. So that would put, if we just stay correlated, that would put NQ up, about 4.5, almost 5 times that. So that would put it up almost at That would put it up around 15,400, which gets pretty close to its high as well. So I'm going to cancel those orders. Let's take a look at the daily just real quick for fun. Yeah, that could, we have this big air pocket above us. There's this old level that we're testing in the three major indexes. RTY is still coming out of the gutter, but it looks a lot better than it did a week ago. Got to say that. But left to right, NQ, ES, and YM are right on the spot we broke down from, a year ago. And this year has been strong. So, could we retest these areas? It wouldn't stun me at all. So, interesting conditions, but the thing that I keep seeing, so this is I think the best way to look at this. These are the daily VWAP standard deviations, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're kind of working the high end of the range right now, which, like I said earlier, there's a bit under the market right now. We've seen it all morning. But what, again, is really relevant, I mentioned this in the IAD session. I mentioned it a few times in the last couple of weeks. If you keep an eye on the weeklies, the same idea, only using weekly 1 through 4 standard deviations, we're really just working a range still. We had that parabolic break to the upside, and we haven't exceeded that, but we've managed to get bought every time we go to the other end toward the bottom of it. So, hard to argue with that. I've been trading both sides. When we get to the edges of that range, I've been fading it no matter which way it goes. And, it tends to overshoot a bit, but that's been working really well for the last few months. So anyway, short squeeze blow off top, that would be ideal. And then another push down, as the recession comes or whatever, news event. And again, that's another point that it's really important to keep repeating is this is a news driven market. It has been for, since COVID, but certainly recently. We're summer, we're low volume. So we also have very thin liquidity. If you look at my ES dome over here on the right, barely double digits at many levels. And, that's just too thin. It's going to travel through that quickly. So absolutely. I'd love to see that happen. That would be my ideal, that we do a short squeeze blow off to the upside that we can go with and then fade it once it runs out of gas. Meanwhile, we're kind of in the middle of the middle here, and, let's let it do what it wants to do. I want to look at the structure again one more time. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that we price rejected that last period there up there, and we did, but that doesn't mean it's done going up. That's just on the 30-minute rotations. So anywho, that's what's going on. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. We have about 7 more minutes till the numbers. Welcome guests. I see we have a few. Come on in. This is ad hoc, as we call it in TRG. We do these ad hoc around economic events. I'll put up a session and we'll see if we can scalp the extremes. And what does that mean? Well, the ideal here would be the number comes in better than expected and we push up and maybe, can blow through 4,500 and get a short above there somewhere. That's the idea I like the most right now. And it's set up in NQ as well. If you look at the TPO view of NQ, it pretty much looks the same, an old poor week high. And then these are the parabolic breaks we had a week or so ago, actually 2 weeks, a week and 2 weeks ago. We had them twice. But, if you look at ES, it's got those poor week highs above it. And so, I'd be stunned if it didn't test that area and at least try to get into this air pocket before we get some sort of pullback, major pullback anyway. So great setup, couldn't ask for a better situation. Now we just need to play it. So I am set up on my left-hand domes. For those of you that are guests, the right-hand domes are in different accounts. The ones to the left of this liquidity map, MNQ, is 2 different accounts, and then an NQ. And I'm set up to trade this one and the far left one today. One of my cash accounts and one of my Apex evals, which is copying to some Apex funded accounts, PAs. So we'll see. Again, I'll when I'm doing news extremes, I tend to only do giant swarms. That's the risk management. So we're going to use micros and we're going to scale in blocks of 5 if we do that. And I might trade NQ as well if I get a good kind of 1+1 setup. But I doubt it. With the volatility, you're better off scaling and getting the granularity in and out you can get with MNQ. So that's the plan. Let's see what we get. So a lot of these news announcements in the summer, like Amy said, can turn out to be a big nothing burger, and we get no reaction at all, in which case we'll have nothing to trade, and that'll be that. And I'll go get another coffee and come back to trade the open later. So that's what's going on today. It's summer. It's really important to remember this. I've been trading 50 years. You guys know that. And so I'm used to summer. But a lot of people, even if you've only traded 5 or 10 years, you've only been through 5 or 10 summers. And you got to remember, summer is different. The price action's different. The liquidity's thinner. The volume's lower. And so, that means it's likely to move around more and overshoot things, but more or less respect the range, which is, as I was just showing you what it's doing. Okay. Again, the idea of fading this up here is a good idea, but you got to be doing it up here, not down here. So the shorts were nice, but now it's no longer in a spot I want to fade it. That 15 to 20 area was ideal. Classic spot to fade NQ. So anyway, come on in, everybody. We'll see if we can get this going. I saw David pop in and then disappear. I wonder what's going on. Is there any issue with the room? Anybody having a problem? You guys hear me okay and all that? JVC's not here yet. He usually watches the backside of it. Cool, thank you. All right, so now we're about 3.5 minutes out. It's starting to get a little busier. You can see the price is flipping around a little bit. We're getting little sweeps in each direction. I'm going to reset the DOMs here so we get some fresh traded volume. And we'll go from there. TRG folks. There's David. Okay, you disappeared. You came in and out. That's why I brought it up. All right. Anyway, so TRG folks, if you're looking at the left side of my screen where my LRCs are and the wave volume, that probably will look different than yours. If yours was like mine used to be, I changed a couple of things yesterday, and I'm not really going to go into the detail today of what I did, but maybe at the closing session on Friday when we have some time, or maybe Dino, I'll mention it also on Friday. But I made an adjustment to the way my LRCs are configured and the way my wave volume is configured on my far left views. And I also brought these back over from the other monitor. I only had ES and NQ on here, and I had the other two on the other screen, and I brought them back here. And that just has to do with some scalping execution and a bot that I'm working on. So anyway, if you're interested, I'll explain it briefly on Friday, TRG folks, in the Dino and in the closing session. And I'll probably repeat it on Sunday at the reopen session as well, just so everybody knows. And if there's enough interest, I'll do a live session just on what I changed and why, but it's not substantial. It's just an adjustment. Anyway, that's what we've got. Now you can see we're getting really sweepy. We're just 1.5 minutes out from the number, and look at the liquidity. It's just disappearing over here. This is the liquidity of ES. And, everyone's just getting out of the way because you don't want to get run over by the craziness. So that's the story. Let's see if we get a good reaction to trade. I would love to fade. In other words, short a big move up if we popped up. I want to see it getting absorbed, and maybe the second impulse of the pop-up is what I would look to fade. And I would use that swarming. You can't do these without swarming, which is scaling in with increased aggression at the extremes. That's what you have to do to manage that type of event. And I'll do it if we get it. We'll see. Anyway, if you have any questions, stick them in the chat. Not an open Q&A, ask me anything kind of environment because it's news related, but after we get the number for a few minutes, if there's questions, I'll answer them. But we have about 50 seconds here. You can see the clock in my lower right hand. It should go right about 5:30 my time, so give or take. You can see it's getting really thin. There's levels that only have single digits now in the liquidity in ES. That's really, really subject to move fast. Somebody puts up 100 lot, we could move 30 points. So, and there it's starting to get jittery, a little bit to the upside. But again, we don't have a number yet, so this is all just speculation here. Very hard to make money on speculation when you have price discovery, which is what it's starting to do, going both ways. Because even if you're right about the short-term direction, you got to get out with your rightness. Whoa, look at that. We got up to 70. Whoa, now 80. Whoa, 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 whoa. Must be a good number. The market liked it. Now it's gone the other way. Okay, this is a potential short up here. If we can find us a good fade for it, I'm going to try to get higher up here. See if we can get a fill. And oh, it's right there. Come on. Okay, I got 5 short here. Let's protect it fast. Boy, it's going to be hard to do. Let's just use a target, see if we can get like $100 on those 5 micros. All right, we did. And now we are short 10 more on the next target up. So perfect. Let's get the first 5 off. Protect them if we can. Perfect. We are now short from 85 on 5 more micros. And now we are plus $100 right here. And perfect. All right. That is how you scalp the reaction to the news. And if I can do it again, I will, but that was a perfect example. And we picked up a quick $100 on that. I'll take it. Should get another opportunity, but it's pushing up again. So you got to kind of be careful where you try to do these. I want to, that was a perfect spot right there. Okay, good. And you want to protect them fast if you can, or use a target if it's moving around a lot, which is what I did on that last one. Let's see if we can scale this one a little bigger up here. This is called a swarm, and the idea is to get more aggressive the more extreme it gets. And boy, we got a good little rally going here. This is ideal for this. I'm going to have to take some heat to do this, obviously. That's the nature of extremes. Here we go. Let's start taking some profits on this one. Going to probably work this 0 area here. There we go. Let's get this one off. Let's protect that. And perfect. Okay, we are now short 10 from 05, and we've got 2 take profit stops. We just took 5 of them off. We just took 5 more off. That's another $120 on that one. And I'm going to take a deep breath and relax here because it's going up pretty strongly, and my fades have worked twice, but I don't want to get caught in a really good short squeeze, which we have sort of going, because look what happened. ES did get above 4,500. And it did set up a perfect short right as the absorption happened, but you had to be nimble, as you saw. So anyway, let's see. Just push that over there. Here's our P&L in case anybody's interested. A total of about $200 after commissions, about 180-ish. So that's cool. And, there's still good trades here, but when I have a couple of good scalps right after the news and I get it right, I tend to not push my luck because, it's almost like free money if you, and now, it's got to get priced in, and it's going to get harder to do what I just did. Either way. Does that make sense? The first reaction is, and the second reaction, those are the predictable ones. That's what I meant about a second thrust. But now we're in price discovery, and the market's pricing this in, and I don't know where it's going to end up. And so the fade isn't automatically a good idea anymore. It could be a good squeeze long now down here. So anyway, that does make sense. Okay, cool. Anyway, so that's it. We did it. We had a good little example of how to scalp news using swarming in the micros. And I don't know what else to say. That's exactly what I was hoping would happen. And we got some good examples. Again, I'm not trying to show you how much money I can make doing this. I'm trying to show you a technique. In this case, a couple techniques, trading the extremes of the news and using swarming, which we talk about a lot in TRG. And there's a whole lot of videos and live sessions. If you're interested, come on in and check it out if you're a guest. There's guest passes for our library also that I think $20. You can come in and check stuff out. All on the homepage. Anyway, if there's questions on anything, I will answer them. Again, I don't like to push my luck on these extremes because now it's kind of pricing in. And so, I don't know what extreme means anymore. I did, on the first push up because it was still extreme. But if you look at it now, we made it to SD4. In other words, 4 standard deviations away from the VWAP on that push up. And, that was very fadeable. But now, we're kind of holding up here. So, my thinking in bets, my odds of predicting what's going to happen in the immediate future is just not going to be as accurate because I have price discovery. I don't have an extreme that I can fade. So anyway, that's basically the story. I feel a little bit like a broken record, but are there any questions or comments about forming or about fading Newz or scalping this way or anything about anything here? I'll be happy to answer a few quick questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap up and you guys can go do your own thing. I don't see any questions. Okay, guests, thank you for coming. Do you guys have any questions? There was a few of you. Feel free to put a question in the chat or a comment. As I said, check out the homepage. We have some different ways you can look at our library, and there's some really cool material in there. Hang on a second. I was gonna bring it up for you. Here we go. So our library has lots of different topics and examples of this style of trading and more structural trading that Lee does. And you can buy a library pass for $10 for 24 hours if you want to check that out, or you can get a membership for $99, and it's a pretty good deal, I think. And we do a lot more of the kind of thing you just saw me doing, and in a little bit more of a classroom way. This is just kind of a thing I like to do around the live news because it's fun and I can make money doing it. So, all right, thank you, Amy. Let's see, how far can an extreme push the range? Oh gosh, I've seen them go with a blowout number or a big surprise, Jeffrey. I've seen, just for fun, when there's a big black swan, I'll measure it. I've seen like SD6, and just so you understand, the bell-shaped curve, bring up, there's a page called Math is Fun. And if you bring bell-shaped curves up, on the Math is Fun page, here we go, normal distributions. It's really important to understand that when you're at like a standard deviation number, this isn't the chart example that I wanted to see. There we go. When you get to standard deviation 3, you're at 99.7% of the data. So we got to 4 on that one. So, this is fractions of a percent. So we're really outliering. It's clearly an extreme, is my point. And that's the beauty of statistics, is that you can get really extreme and the odds are you won't stay there, but that doesn't mean you won't stay there. It just means it's really unlikely. And that's the art of trading, is you got to think in bets. You have to think in statistics, no matter what your edge is. Mine is short-term price action. That's what I do. And so for me, it's, how can I find spots where the odds are overwhelming that I'm right? Well, that's what I was just doing. When it pushes up like that, it's going to pull back. You just have to get the scale and the aggression right. And that's what the swarming stuff is about. So, all right. Are there any other questions? That was a good question, by the way. And that's why I look for the second pulse frequently on the economic news, because the first pulse just takes out the first round of faders. And then those guys need to get stopped out. And then that's the sweet spot, because then, only the pros are fading because the rookies have already been stopped out. So that's kind of the thinking behind the second pulse. And again, now you want to be cautious because, we're holding at the highs. We're in ebb and flow at the high. And that's not a stable spot. It can blow to the upside and come down hard. And so, this could be another fade here. Hang on a second. Let's see if we can catch another short if this pushes high enough. And you have to kind of get relatively aggressive as you see the absorption. So here's another good example of it. See what I mean? They'll just flush the toilet like that from the absorption, and you can pick up a quick 4 or 5 points like I just did. All right. So, second pulse, key stuff. This actually is like the third pulse, but really good absorption, which is why I took that. It was just really clear. And, I'm not going to push it though. I'm counter trend. It's going up. So I'm going to immediately take profits like you saw. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Good examples today. JVC's here. Cool. JVC, we had a couple of really good examples. I don't know if you were here yet.
No, I just rolled in a minute ago. Totally overslept today.
Yeah, no worries. This will be a good one to put in the library for examples of scalping the Newz, because we got the fade and I traded it and we're up a couple of hundred, 377 bucks on it.
Nice.
And, we just did doing 5-lot micros, and we just did a nice little absorption fade right there that worked right away. And, those are good examples. So
cool.
And we've had some guests here as well. So I wanted them to be able to see that. And cool. All right. Other than that, I'm done here. This is the Newz fade trade is over. We're pricing in now, and you don't want to play here because it's being priced in. This is price discovery resolving, and that's a crappy place to trade. But it was a really good example. And also, again, those of you that use my LRC approach and whatnot, this will look different. I did change the settings on that a little bit, and I will explain that briefly at the Dino session and at the closing session Friday. My buddy, we put some more of my data through his optimization model, and we found something very interesting for these summer conditions specifically. I might change it back when we go back into the winter. But this is an important thing to, if you follow my statistical range approach with regression, then you'll want to hear that update. All right, that's it. Let's go. Oh, now we're getting a really crazy little battle here at zero. Look at that. Talk about price discovery, battling both ways, really hard right there. That's kind of fun. Good absorption. Yeah, the buyers are aggressive today. We could see a little short squeeze get going here. RTY is leading, NQ is second. That's classic correlation. We don't have a lot of volume, but it's better than we've had recently, so it's still thin. This could be a great day to scalp. All right, guys, have a good one. Let's see, today is what? It's Wednesday. We have the dojo later this morning, correct, JBC?
That is correct, yes.
Cool. All right, and thank you again, guests, for attending, and TRG folks, and we'll see you all in the pit.